The Love Letter.
Episode 1. The Discovery. Welcome to The Love Letter, a story of mystery, fate, and the power of written words. In our first episode, we meet Emily, a young bookshop owner whose life is about to take an unexpected turn.
I always loved the smell of old books. There's something comforting about it, like stepping into a different world. My little bookshop, Timeless Tales, was my sanctuary.
One rainy afternoon, as Emily was sorting through a new batch of second-hand books, she stumbled upon something curious.
What is this?
Tucked between the pages of a worn-out novel was an old yellowed envelope. The ink was faded, but the words were still legible. To my dearest love.
A love letter? How intriguing. I wonder who wrote this, and who it was meant for.
Emily carefully opened the envelope and began to read the letter inside. The words were filled with emotion, painting a vivid picture of a love that seemed both passionate and tragic.
My dearest love, not a day goes by that I don't think of you. The memories of our time together are etched in my heart forever. I long for the day we can be together again. Yours always, A.
Emily's curiosity was piqued. Who were these lovers? What had separated them? She knew she had to find out more.
This letter feels like a piece of someone's soul. I need to know their story. But where do I start?
Just then, the shop's bell rang, and a customer walked in. It was Max, the owner of the nearby antique shop and a frequent visitor to Timeless Tales.
Hey, Emily. Found anything interesting today?
Max, you won't believe this. I found an old love letter hidden in one of the books. Listen to this.
Emily read the letter to Max, who listened intently.
That's quite the find. Sounds like a real-life mystery. Any idea who wrote it?
None. But I'm determined to find out. There's a name, a date, and maybe even a location hidden in these words.
Well, if anyone can uncover the story behind this letter, it's you. Need any help?
I might just take you up on that. Let's see where this mystery leads us.
And so, Emily's quest to uncover the story behind the love letter began. Little did she know, this journey would lead her to unexpected places and change her life in ways she never imagined. Episode 2. The Clues Unfold.
The letter was all I could think about. Who was A? Who was their dearest love? And why was the letter hidden away? I decided to start by examining every detail of the letter.
Emily laid the letter out on her desk, carefully noting the date, March 12, 1952, and the name signed at the bottom, just an initial, A.
March 12th, 1952. That's nearly 70 years ago. I wonder if there are any records from that time.
Hey, Emily, any new developments?
Max, look at this. The letter is dated 1952, and it's signed with an initial, A. I think my first step should be the old bookstore where I found the book.
Sounds like a good place to start. Want some company?
Sure, let's go.
Emily and Max made their way to the old bookstore, a quaint shop filled with the scent of aged paper and memories.
Welcome. Can I help you with something?
Hi, Mr. Thompson. I found this letter in a book I bought from your store. It's dated 1952. Do you happen to remember anything about it?
Let me see. 1952, you say? That's quite a while back. I do remember some of the regulars from that era, but it's a long shot. What's the name?
It's signed with just an initial, A.
There was a gentleman who used to come by often around that time, always looking for poetry books. His name was Arthur. Could that be your A?
Arthur, huh? Do you remember anything else about him?
Only that he was very reserved, but had a deep passion for literature. Spoke often about a woman he was smitten with.
That could be him. Do you know where I might find any more information about Arthur?
You might try the local archives. They keep records of old residents and significant events. It's worth a shot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thompson. We'll head there next.
With a new lead, Emily and Max headed to the local archives, hoping to uncover more about Arthur and the mysterious love that seemed to transcend time.
How can I help you today?
Hi. We're looking for information about a man named Arthur. He was a frequent visitor to the old bookstore around 1952.
Let's see what we can find. We have old newspapers, census records, and even some personal journals donated by residents.
After a few hours of searching, they found an article about a local poetry club from 1952. Listed among its members was an Arthur Reynolds.
This must be him, Arthur Reynolds. Now we're getting somewhere.
Look, there's a mention of a poetry reading event. Maybe someone from that event might still remember him.
You could try the community center. They often host events and might have records of past attendees.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Collins. We'll head there next.
Emily and Max's search led them to the community center, where they hoped to find more clues about Arthur and his beloved.
Welcome to the community center. How can I assist you?
We're looking for information about an Arthur Reynolds who was part of a poetry reading here in 1952.
Ah, the poetry club. Let me check our records. Here we are. Arthur Reynolds attended regularly, and there's a note about a special reading dedicated to a woman named Beatrice. Perhaps she's the one mentioned in your letter?
Beatrice. That's a beautiful name. Do you have any more information about her?
Not much here, but you might want to visit the local historical society. They often have detailed personal histories and might know more about Beatrice.
Thank you, Miss Jensen. We'll head there next.
With each step, Emily felt closer to uncovering the true story behind the love letter. Next stop, the Historical Society.
Welcome to the Historical Society. What can I do for you today?
We're researching a man named Arthur Reynolds and a woman named Beatrice from the 1950s. They were involved in a poetry club and may have had a significant connection.
Arthur and Beatrice? Ah, yes, their story is quite well known around here. They were deeply in love but faced many challenges. Beatrice's family disapproved of Arthur, and they had to keep their relationship secret.
That's heartbreaking. Do you know what happened to them?
I believe Beatrice moved away and Arthur stayed behind, writing letters he could never send. There's a collection of his poems and letters here, donated by his family. You're welcome to read them.
As I read Arthur's letters and poems, I felt the depth of his love and the pain of his separation from Beatrice. Their story was more tragic and beautiful than I could have imagined. As I read Arthur's letters and poems, I felt the depth of his love and the pain of his separation from Beatrice. Their story was more tragic and beautiful than I could have imagined.
Episode 3. The First Lead. Emily discovered that Arthur Reynolds and Beatrice shared a deep but secret love. Today, Emily takes her first lead to a small town mentioned in one of Arthur's letters.
Arthur's letters mentioned a small town where Beatrice moved. I decided to visit, hoping to find more about their story. The train ride was long, but my curiosity kept me awake.
Emily arrived at the quaint town of Havenbrook, a place that seemed frozen in time. She walked down the main street, taking in the old-fashioned charm.
Havenbrook looked like a place where love stories could blossom. I wondered if anyone here remembered Arthur and Beatrice.
Good afternoon. What can I get for you?
Hi, I'm actually here for some information. I'm looking for anyone who might remember a couple named Arthur and Beatrice from the 1950s. They were part of the poetry club.
Arthur and Beatrice, you say? I remember them. My mother used to talk about their love story. It was quite the talk of the town back then.
Really? Do you know what happened to them?
Well, Beatrice's family moved away suddenly. There were rumors that her parents disapproved of Arthur. He was heartbroken and wrote letters and poems he never sent.
That's so sad. Is there anyone else who might know more?
You should talk to Mr. Wilson. He was part of the poetry club with Arthur and Beatrice. He lives just down the road.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Green. I'll go see him.
Emily followed Mrs. Green's directions to Mr. Wilson's house, a charming cottage surrounded by a lush garden. She knocked on the door, feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness.
Hello, can I help you?
Hi, Mr. Wilson. My name is Emily. I'm researching a couple named Arthur and Beatrice from the 1950s. I heard you might know them.
Arthur and Beatrice? Yes, I remember them well. Come in, come in.
Mr. Wilson led Emily to a cozy sitting room filled with books and photographs. He offered her tea, and they sat down to talk.
Arthur was one of my closest friends. We shared a love for poetry. Beatrice was the love of his life, but their story was filled with obstacles.
What happened to them?
Beatrice's family moved to another town, and Arthur was devastated. He wrote her letters every day, hoping she'd return, but he never sent them. They remained hidden in his journal.
Do you know where Beatrice moved to?
Yes, they moved to a town called Elmwood. I believe Beatrice eventually married, but Arthur never stopped loving her.
Elmwood. I think I need to visit there next. Thank you so much for your help, Mr. Wilson.
Beatrice was a lovely person. If you find her, tell her Arthur never forgot her. Beatrice was a lovely person. If you find her, tell her Arthur never forgot her.
With new information, Emily felt both hopeful and anxious. Elmwood was her next destination, and she hoped to finally uncover the full story of Arthur and Beatrice's love.
Thank you for listening to part 1 of The Love Letter. Join us next time as Emily continues her journey to Elmwood, discovering more about Arthur and Beatrice's enduring love. Until then, keep believing in the power of written words. The Love Letter is a production of English Story Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review. We'd love to hear your thoughts.